Yo, what up? What up? What up? What's going on, y'all? This your man Marcus A. Brown once again. I'm gonna go ahead and get this started, and I'll let y'all in the chat as y'all come in. So today I want to share my observations on Chicago and just give a little more detail into the nature and the dynamics of violence in Chicago. Um, this came from this story. What sparked this conversation is the 52 shot in Chicago over Memorial Day weekend. So they saying 7 people dead. Shit is crazy, but I was just joking on social media about like this big flock of people that migrated to the South. They was in Memphis, Tennessee for Memorial Day weekend. And so like my whole timeline was full of people from Chicago partying in Memphis. And for the most part, a lot of areas in Chicago that's usually crowded in the summer or when the weather gets warm, it was empty as hell. So I was just joking about that. I was talking shit about it, but I actually, I thought it was kind of cool to see everybody that I knew down there in Memphis having fun. But at the same time, I was thinking to myself, like, ain't no way I'll be caught down there in Memphis, hot as fuck, drunk as fuck, with all these Chicago, Memphis niggas mixed up. I don't know how that would have turned out, but from my observation, it seemed to turn out decent. I thought it was gonna be cool in Chicago too, but now I look up and they saying 52 shot in Chicago over Memorial Day weekend, 7 people died. This is according to the Chicago Tribune. So it's fucked up that we hear these numbers so much living in Chicago. We pretty much desensitized to it at this point. But one thing that I hate the most about the way that the news and the police and the politicians and even some people from out of town, they try to brush this shit off like they say it's quote unquote gang organizations, or they just use these popular name brand as gang names, Gangster Disciples and Black Peace Stone Rangers. The shit it sounds corny when they say it. And while it may be a degree of truth in that blanket statement, it's not really going into detail as to who's doing what or why they doing it or how the shit really goes down. So I want to give y'all my observations on how I see the shit really going down. Now, I'm not in a gang. I grew up around the shit. Of course, I got family and friends that have their history with the streets. So anybody that grew up in Chicago should understand what I'm about to explain, whether they in a gang or not. Hold on a second. So yeah, the first way, of course, is niggas beefing. Obviously, niggas beefing with other niggas. Like this could be a rival gang. This could be rival gangs, or even people in the same quote unquote gang. From different blocks or different sets, different parts of town. This is what the news and the politicians don't really say it right. Like just because these niggas may be considered in the same gang or under the same nation, that don't necessarily mean they always rock with each other like that. Like oftentimes it's a lot of people that know each other that's beefing out here. So all that organized gang shit in the street, that shit is dead. Like ain't no structure out here, bro. Unless you in prison, that's where the so-called structure is. So I've been told. I ain't never been to jail either, but I ain't really in position to speak on that. But anybody that's been to jail would tell you that gang shit is serious in jail. But on the streets, niggas just be claiming whatever. So it ain't no organization out here the way that the news portray it to be. It could be like little gangs, little cliques from like school or from, little cliques from their neighborhoods or their family or anything. But as far as like structure and organized crime in the streets, I wish the news and the police would just stop perpetuating that outdated stereotype so we can deal with specific sets or specific groups or specific individuals. Because all that organized gang shit that ain't what's going on out here. The other thing is that these beefs, like I said, they could be over anything. Sometimes it is drug or gang related, like the news will say, but oftentimes that ain't always the case. Niggas fight over pussy out here. Niggas fight over ego. It's fucked up. Most of the time, some of this back and forth killing is start from motherfuckers trying to pull it with the wrong nigga. For example, if a bunch of shorties out here decide they want to jump somebody or try to just act tough for whatever reason, a lot of times they think since they deep as hell or since they got pulled, like banging a gun or whatever, they automatically think they're going to win that fight. But, sometimes victims fight back. So if you whoop one of these little niggas' ass or you kill one of these niggas, worst case scenario, and it turns out that they was really the aggressor in the incident, it don't even matter because shorties out here, even some of these grown niggas, they can't take that L. They can't just take an ass whooping and take that L and learn they lesson. They want to rally up other people and start like a real life war over this shit, over losing a fight that in most cases they started. So yeah, that shit happens all the time. Of course, the drill music plays a role since a lot of niggas out here rap. Some people want to try to get on. That's like they little path to fame and shit, to diss people's dead homies and shoot at the ops and start rapping about it. Basically just telling on themselves, you know what I'm saying? That's telling on themselves for buzz. That's like the new move and shit. Most of the violence used to be restricted to like Twitter and, like I said, beefs at open mic spots and shit like that. But now it ain't really restricted to Twitter. It ain't restricted to certain neighborhoods in Chicago. Hold on, I got these pop-ups and shit. What's really happening, like, there's social advancements that's changing the way that niggas move out here too. For example, these protests, the protests that was going on around election time, that gave everybody from every hood an excuse to catch the train downtown, and it kind of made downtown like an acceptable area to start some bullshit. You know, any of y'all that's from Chicago, y'all know how the red line, the green line. It's easy to get to downtown. That's the heart of Chicago. But before the election time, the city really wasn't having all that downtown. It wasn't no drama downtown. So the part of that stereotype was true. Like the violence was in certain neighborhoods. Now it's subject to be anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Because before all these protests, downtown was kind of clean. It was like a neutral zone. Niggas was getting locked up for trying to pull some bullshit downtown because that's where the money was at. You know what I'm saying? That's where the money's at. That's where the tourists go. That's where all the VIPs and the celebrities go when they visiting from out of town. So now, since the city is a little more relaxed with the political activism, it kind of turned a blind eye to the big groups of young people in general. You know, especially if there's a protest nearby. When it's protests in Chicago, that's when a lot of bullshit go down. And this is my prediction that, you know, it's only more drama to come, especially in these neighborhoods that we think is nice, because these protests create an environment where, you know, it's socially acceptable for motherfuckers to walk around with masks on, to walk around with these, you know, they act like they protest and they act like they voicing their freedom of speech. But at the end of the day, like, before niggas go home, it's just like leaving a party. It's like before the end of the night, some shit gotta go down. And that's usually how somebody end up lacking, and you get innocent victims caught up in some bullshit. Now, another thing, since I'm talking about downtown, this is another thing that I think played a factor. As weird as it sounds, is Pokemon Go. Now, like, I played Pokemon Go when it first came out. I forgot if it was last year or the year before that, but that year that Pokemon Go came out, like, everybody in the city was all over the place trying to catch these Pokemon, you know, especially downtown. And what I see, what that did was, you know, make people get out of the house, make people get out of the hood, especially, you know, move around the city to catch these different Pokemon in different areas. And of course, with that came people out here lacking, little shorties lacking, and with that came a few incidents where people would get jumped or robbed or whatever. But that's a minor factor. It's just a social thing. It ain't really got nothing to do with the gangs, but I just see how it mixes people up that otherwise wouldn't cross paths. Another factor that I see that's kind of similar is the ride sharing programs like Uber. I love Uber. I love Lyft. You know, they much more convenient than catching a cab. But Uber is a hood hustle out here too. So that's one thing I can say about Uber is it got a lot of niggas out the hood. And I'm not saying that it got them out the hood like as in moving out of the hood, but it is actually like working all over the city. Because, you know, typically people in the hood just work in the hood, you know, whether it's the clothing stores or the local grocery stores. Maybe if they drove around like on some delivery type shit, but it was always around the block or not too far from their side of town. So Uber changed the game out here in Chicago, because Uber have you going somewhere everywhere in the city, from the airport to the lakefront, to the far north side, the suburbs, and everything. So certain areas in Chicago that haven't been used to seeing niggas drive through the hood like that, you know, now it's different. Like, if you are part of a ride sharing program, people really ain't gonna say too much to you. If you got like the Uber or the little mustache, the Lyft thing in the back of your car, like, they kind of can assume that you're a driver, and they know that they'll make that a pass for you for why you out here or whatever. I think on one side, it's a good thing, because that's actually how I ended up leaving the hood, by being a truck driver and being exposed to new areas while I was working. But on the other hand, I do see how it could be a concern for different communities to see different people from different parts of town essentially changing the integrity of their neighborhood. This is for the local residents, because like I said, everybody ain't used to certain areas being as diverse as they have become. Is the liberal politicians out here. The liberal politicians are pushing for Chicago to be a sanctuary city. Okay, so in other words, it's not a lot of regulation or concern, for that matter, to ensure that the people in our city are here legally, the immigrants, so to speak. Nobody really gives a fuck if these immigrants are legal or illegal. Um, that goes for everybody: black, white, Latino, Middle Eastern, whatever. Now, I hate to pick on the Latin American communities, but they do also play a role in this street violence. This ain't just all black folks. This ain't just Inglewood. This ain't just the East Side. This ain't just the Hundreds. The violence is all over, and it's kind of a rift, a mix between black communities, Latino communities, and so on and so forth. Some of y'all know, if any of y'all from Chicago familiar with the area, Humboldt Park, that community, that for the longest, that's been predominantly Puerto Rican. It's been a Puerto Rican hood for as long as I can remember. But lately, it's been occupied by Latin Americans from all over. Whether they legal or not, I don't know. But nowadays, it's not uncommon to see the Latin Americans bunched up in these certain pockets of Chicago. And they could be coming from anywhere. These are people, like, of course, Puerto Ricans, some of them Mexicans. You got some people from Venezuela. All these Spanish-speaking people, wherever they coming from, they all bunched up in these certain pockets of Chicago. And like I said, for the most part, it's good. It ain't really been a big problem. But the city, especially like the elected officials out here, they show no concern on behalf of the city of Chicago to see where these people are coming from or what they doing out here, whether they natural born citizens or illegal immigrants. Chicago don't care. But as far as the gang element is concerned, the Latin people, they go hard with this shit too. They go super hard with this gang shit. And for whatever reason, this is my own personal bias. For whatever reason, a lot of the Latinos think every black person is a fucking GD for some reason. That's my experience. But yeah, that goes on. That plays a factor in the violence in Chicago. I don't really have all the answers. I just wanted to initiate this conversation. So if y'all want to talk about it, we can take this time to talk about it. I'm going to check out the chat. Also, we can get the likes up. If y'all care to donate, I got the super chat link in the chat box. But yeah, man, shit crazy out here, bro. Like, what do y'all think about the violence in not only Chicago, but all of the major cities? It don't have to just be Chicago. Let me make sure I got the fucking chat open. I got two. I'm looking at two. I'm looking at my laptop and my desktop. So let me pull this up over here. Oh yeah. Also, I'm gonna drop that Chicago Tribune article. I'm gonna drop that in the chat. And I'm gonna drop that in the comment section as well. So give me 1 second. All right, so there you go. Shout out to 007 Brad. He say it's the manifestation of the matriarchy. Yeah, that play. I think that every major city is experiencing the ratchetness from the single motherhood epidemic. Of course, like all of these communities that's been raised, you got generations of people that's been raised on government assistance. And as much as we try to not demonize government assistance, I mean, that plays a role. It plays a role in the removal of the male or the father from the household. And it's a conversation I think specifically the black community really don't want to have. But you're right, that does play a factor in it. Also, the whole no snitching thing. Mama don't want to snitch on her baby. And if one of these niggas get caught doing some crazy shit, everybody in the hood is going to say how good of a kid he was. It's not always the case. Even the people that defend themselves, sometimes it'd be the good guy that get demonized and it'd be the bad guy that gets glorified by the hood. They don't want to snitch. They don't want to say exactly what's going on in the news. They don't really care. I think the police have more intelligence than they're willing to admit, but that's for their own little records and surveillance on all of us as citizens. But as far as like reporting the news, journalism, and police reports and shit, they just gonna spit out the same rhetoric. Oh, it's the gangster disciples. Oh, shooting this weekend. We don't know who did it. We're looking into it. Like we heard that story over and over and over again. What's going on, All Mall? Shout out All Mall. Shout out Aaron Roden, Don Bossellini. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I spoke too soon because I sure thought that this was gonna be like a peaceful weekend. Supposedly, let me go back to that article. Supposedly, all these shootings took place on Monday or close to Monday, Sunday night, Monday morning, Monday during the day. But this weekend has been relatively been like a ghost town out here. I'm telling you, like all of the blocks that be cracking all up and down 79th, 87th, 63rd. You really didn't see a lot of people out. So I genuinely thought like either for whatever reason we was just having a good weekend or everybody from Chicago had legit went down to Memphis. Because I'm telling you, like a lot of people from Chicago, they call it Chicago invading Memphis. I guess that's the actual thing now. But it was lit. And I was like, hey, whatever y'all doing, keep that shit going. Cause it was cool, man. It really wasn't a lot of drama out here. Wasn't a lot of tragic shit going on. But another thing that I will entertain the thought of, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but sometimes they throw out these random numbers, 52 people shot, 70 people shot, 90 people shot. Sometimes the shit sounds so unrealistic. I have to wonder how real this shit is. The only time it really resonates with me is when it happened to somebody that I know personally or in a neighborhood where I know people personally. They have a real full account of what happened. But sometimes I think the news may be fabricating shit for another agenda. But then on the other hand, I know niggas don't snitch. I know motherfuckers, like shit could go down right in front of people and they won't care. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times even I've seen this in person where niggas had got shot and they would not talk to the police. They didn't want no medical assistance. All they wanted was to recover on their own so they could go handle their business on their own. And I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I get it. I understand it. But all that's doing is like keeping the whole problem going. Richard Lopez say, yeah, I think sometimes the numbers the news provides are exaggerated. I definitely think it's exaggerated. Part of what it's doing is desensitizing us to this news because shit, it could have been a time, especially on my block. I'm from over east. I'm about 73rd and Jeffrey. So that's like, it ain't the best neighborhood, but it ain't the worst either. I had a relatively safe upbringing. Most I had to worry about was motherfuckers jumping each other. It was a lot of people stealing cars, so you had to make sure your car was straight. And little clucks, crackheads and shit, stealing shit here and there. But all this shooting, I ain't experienced a lot of that growing up. 007, Brad say, where's Donald Trump to fix these cities? See, we want to now. If Trump responds to any of this, all of these cities, especially like the mayors and the aldermen, they gonna be butthurt. If he don't address it, then they'll demonize him in that way. But if he does address it, everybody will say that he's picking on the cities and he's discriminating and shit. My question is, where was Obama with all? Obama is from Chicago. He's never had anything to say about the violence in Chicago. He never even gave niggas a slap on the wrist, like, hey, y'all cut that shit out. Like that's all it takes as president. That's all it takes is any celebrity to kind of get the ball rolling, get people behind you. If you're a public figure, all you have to do is speak out against certain things, and some people will be inspired by that. With Donald Trump, from my experience, from my observation, people want to go against whatever the man says. So, Trump could say, hey, now this is me talking. This is just me saying some dumb shit. Trump could say something like, I don't care about the violence in Chicago. I hope it gets more violent. And just by saying that, the contrarian nature of most people that despise Trump for their own reasons, it'll fuck around be peaceful out here. Just because niggas are that hard-headed that they want to go against whatever the man says, whatever the president of the United States says. That's people's personal prejudice and bias against Trump. But I think I've seen that enough times where I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying Trump should do that, but when people say like, "Where's Trump to fix the city?" I say, "Where's the mayor? Where was the Barack Obama?" Now, I know this ain't a state concern as much of a city concern, but what I'm learning about the state of Illinois is that state of Illinois in general, that we it's not no full blue state. This ain't a leftist state per se. It's Cook County and it's Chicago. It's kind of dragging this state through the mud because of their own politics. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we could point fingers at politicians and elected officials. They do play their role, especially if they're giving these promises to do certain things. But we got to have some type of responsibility as people here too. I always say, where's Black Lives Matter? That's another question. They don't come out unless police brutality is involved. Unless it got something to do with like some type of interracial violence, a white person harming a non-white person, or a minority or a female. Black Lives Matter, the feminists, the leftist social justice warriors, they could give a shit. They don't care. It could be black on black crime every day, every minute of the day. They wouldn't give a fuck. But if it's something to do with the police or something offensive that they feel that Trump said or whatever, then they all up in arms. And now we got to deal with traffic jams in Chicago because motherfuckers want to protest. It's selective outrage. That's all that is. Richard Lopez says, Cook County, if the taxes don't get you, a bullet will. Hey, man, it's sad, but it damn near sound like the truth. I was just interacting with Governor Rauner when he did his Facebook Live, and even he admitted it. Taxes play a big role in citizens of Illinois relocating to other states. So raising taxes and expanding government is not always the answer to solve like all of the social problems. You can't tell these people that shit though, because everybody wants a babysitter. Everybody wants big government to handle all of their problems and shelter them from reality and shit. That's not, the liberal policies. That's basically what it is. And it's so crazy out here. Like, anybody that has an opposing thought, motherfuckers would just turn a blind eye to violence in that regard. So if somebody was a conservative or even like a straight white male out here voicing their opinion, it could be considered hate speech. It could be considered offensive. And, by them controlling the narrative like that, they can dictate who it's okay to cause harm to. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers will really beat your ass out here and try to justify the shit by saying that you provoked it. But then at the same time, they provoke violence and call it freedom of speech. I mean, you can't have it both ways. Lopez says, hey, Marcus, what is your take on the failing public schools? Do you think the whole voucher program creating competition for schools is good? I think this is the thing. I don't want to speak too heavily on that because I'm not that informed on it. But to my understanding, I'm in favor of school choice. I don't really like the idea of parents having to send their kids to a school based on the location, based on other little factors, based on where they live. If parents had an option to have a say-so in what their kids learn or where they go to learn, then I think that would keep the education system on their toes and keep them in good competition. Right now, there's no incentive for these teachers or these educational institutions to work hard to educate kids. They just pass them along. They pass them from one grade to another. All they really give a fuck about is unions, pensions, getting paid, and fuck the kids once they out of the classroom. So I'm not exactly sure what policies would help change that. I think the teachers and the staff should be held to a higher standard, if not by the government, then at least by the parents. So going back to the parents, sometimes even when I talk to single mothers, not to try to bash them all the time, but sometimes I just make that a conversation. I don't like talking about people's kids. I don't even have kids. But what I will do, if you're going to put your kid in my face all day, I'm going to start asking questions like, oh, well, what are they learning in school? Or have they been introduced to certain talking points or certain narratives that you disagree with. And oftentimes the parents don't even fucking know. You know, the parents kind of use the kids, or they use the schools as a babysitter. And I don't agree with that either. So shout out to Dre Day. Say glad to see me doing a live video. Yeah, I'm gonna get back into the live videos, man. I really, that's the problem with being on some perfectionist shit. Like, shout out to all of the manosphere that go hard with this every day. I haven't been that consistent with it. Like, I like doing scripted content. So, like, if you look at my videos, it's like real thought out and, you know, it got the nice pictures and the presentations and shit. Like, I sit and plan that and write it. And like, this is just kind of going off the top of the dome. So, um, Dre says, "Oh, you say you're a local truck driver, and the only time he goes to the hood is when he, only time he goes to the hood is when he's making a delivery. Other than that, he's in the hills." Yeah, I was the same way. I was driving locally for ABF. That was the first company. I drove for a lot of different outfits out here. Some of them was pickup and delivery. Some of them was what they call shuttle runs, where you go to different rail yards or different terminals and just drop and hook. Like I said, that's what got me out the hood. That and working for a private ambulance company, that's what kind of got me more familiar with the city of Chicago and the surrounding suburbs. I'm thankful for that. I think every brother in the hood, every person in the neighborhood like needs an experience like that to get them out. But what you can't do is, you know, when you start going into these better, more established communities, you got to leave some of that ratchetness at the crib. And I don't really see that happening with the people that's, like I said, they not moving out the hood. Like, you know the bad areas. They not moving out of them bad areas. They just don't want to hang out there either. So sometimes, let's say for like out in Rosemont or North Side, like Lincoln Park, there's certain spots where you used to didn't see niggas too much, but now you just see them out there. And I get it, because they trying to get away from the hood, and Uber has kind of exposed them to different, a better neighborhood, better side of town, so to speak. So all of Chicago ain't bad, but if you taking that mentality to the nicer neighborhoods, it's just gonna lower the integrity for everybody. And shit, you may be trying to get out the hood so you can enjoy yourself, and you running into other niggas either from your hood or from other parts of town. Now you got niggas from different parts of town bumping heads. Like, I done seen it go down. Usually that was restricted to like nightclubs, like parties, but now it's like the beaches, like I said, the movie theaters, all these different public public districts. Chad says the liberal agenda is raising the kids in school. Exactly, bro. Exactly. I would be a strong advocate of homeschool. I wish I had a better answer for you when you asked, what do I feel about the policies that's going on with the public school system? I can share this with you too. Like, I went to a public grammar school. I went to Boucher, Bryn Mawr. I was actually class of '99. Now I'm kind of telling my age, but I was a class of '99 the last year before they changed the name from Bryn Mawr to Boucher. It was a okay school. It's kind of shitty. Nobody really knew about Bryn Mawr until Michelle Obama said she went there. So now all of a sudden, you know, they get a whole nother level of prestige. But it's still the same hole in the wall. But, you know, it was safe for what it was worth. Now, I went to South Shore for like a few weeks. My mom got me out the gym. She put me in Hales Franciscan. So I went to a Catholic school, a Catholic high school. And that was an all-boys school. I hated that I had to go there, but looking back in hindsight, it was a positive experience because I ain't have to deal with the drama in school. Like, the school was cool. You know what I'm saying? The atmosphere was cool. We ain't have a lot of distractions besides the teachers, because everybody was trying to smash the teachers or the cheerleaders from my sister schools and stuff like that. But you know, looking back, man, Hales Franciscan was a good school. It was cool. Like Hales, Leo, that was like our rival school. Can't think of the name. De La Salle. It was certain Catholic schools that you was considered the lame because you went there, but you was safe. You know what I'm saying? The only drama we really had was beefing with other schools. So sometimes we might get into it with some Kenwood students or some High Park students. But, you know, for the most part, we ain't have to deal with the drama like other public schools had to deal with. And the teachers, it was smaller classrooms, so the teachers paid a little more attention to us. But me personally, I wasn't paying attention to shit in school. I wish I had applied myself a little more, but for what it was worth, it kept me out of trouble. So I can't really complain about that. Yeah, parents definitely have to take the initiative to raise their kids to be in their kids' lives. we can't rely on the fucking nursing, daycare, and the public school system to educate our kids and babysit our kids. And this is the way I look at it. Like, I'm thankful that we live in a first world country where we have certain social programs, but at the same time, like, you will be a fool to rely on any of these social programs, any of these public institutions to educate or feed your kids, or even clothe, or provide any type of assistance to yourself or your children to the extent that you would. Nobody's gonna take care of you like you're gonna take care of you. Nobody's gonna take care of your kids like you're gonna take care of your kids. And I think a lot of the parents, I don't have kids, so I can't tell them shit. They looking at me like, fuck your nieces, fuck your nephews. If you don't have kids, you don't know what it's like to be a parent. And I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, like, I done been around kids long enough to know that they're being neglected. If you all the kids need is a little more attention, a little more one-on-one time, and a little more real life experience. Because these institutions, the fucking religious institutions, the educational institutions, and the entertainment, you sitting these kids in front of the TV, the internet, they not teaching your kids anything productive, anything of substance. So, when your innocent little boy or little girl turn out to be some type of undesirable, you'll be mad at everybody else but yourself. You can't really fault everybody else if you didn't put in the time yourself. And part of that has to come from a nuclear household. I much respect to the single mothers, much respect to the single fathers that do their job, but it's nothing like having a mother and a father in the household. It's nothing like having a nuclear family. It just makes sense for the sake of raising a functional family with good, wholesome, well-balanced, contributing members of society. Richard says, do you think that the problem has to do with kids growing up in the hood and joining gangs? Does it have to do with them looking for structure that they don't get in the family? I think that's the typical excuse. A lot of times we have structure, some type of structure in a family, even if it's one individual. So I don't really like using that excuse. That's like a scapegoat that a lot of people use. Man, it was fucked up, G. I ain't had no structure growing up. Let me tell you, G, like, everybody had at least one person. Everybody had at least mama or grandma or stepdad, or even the simp that your mama was dating, or, in a good case scenario, maybe you had your father. But everybody had at least one person, even if it was a teacher that cared about you, because some of these teachers do care. But I'm not saying that one person is enough, but it's a start. I don't really accept when people say I didn't have this or that growing up, so I didn't have a structure and I looked for it in gangs. We know, like, anybody could look at anybody who has like the ability to think a little bit ahead of the road can see that that's not going to end up that's not going to land you in a good position long term. Even if you got like gang members, like, for example, I got an uncle, one of my uncles, Stone G. Like, I'll never forget. One day I was at his crib and he had one of his little dots over there. And shorty, he left me in a room with old girl. She put a hat on my head, broke it to the left. She thought the shit was cute. I didn't know what was going on. I was a shorty, so I'm thinking, I'm hee. And she like, yeah, wait till your uncle come back and hold your hand like this. She's had me throwing up the five, all this shit. Man, my uncle must have came in there and saw that, and I promise you, he must have muffed that whole head to the wall. G. He muffed the shit out of that bitch. Like, man, what the fuck is you doing? Like, don't ever do that to my nephew. He just cussed her out. She left. There was a big argument between them. I was scared. I'm looking at him like he finna beat my ass. He was like, nah, man, that bitch stupid. I don't want to see you do that. You know what I'm saying? So if you get, I'm just saying all that to say this, like, people that say that they had to seek structure in the game, they being sent off. You know what I'm saying? They should know that they being sent off. Or somebody in their life should reach out to them and say, hey, that ain't necessarily the move. I was fortunate enough because, like I said, I had people in my life, good influences and bad influences, that was willing to pull me to the side and say, look, this worked for me. Go do this. Or, you know what I'm saying, this didn't work for me. I don't want to see you make the same mistakes that I did. So I can't really G for the people that blame everything on not having structure at the crib. 007 say the nuclear family is the backbone of a nation. Yeah, it is. And a lot of times, unfortunately, we attribute too much to one gender or the other. With this whole gender war shit, people say like, yeah, the man is the sole provider, the breadwinner, and this and that. To an extent, he was, but you know, sorry to say, we have other simp men in government that has destabilized the man from the nuclear household. So when you get these social programs, they kind of make men obsolete. We become more of a accessory for the family than a necessity, if that makes sense. So I'm not trying to discredit fathers, but you know, the fathers has been destabilized. The mothers have been held on a pedestal. You know, they've been hyperinflated. They got a hyperinflated ego. And we don't even say the nuclear family is a backbone of a nation. Now we say the mother is a backbone of a nation, which is some complete bullshit. Shout out Bonzo. Oh, shout out Bonzo, man. What's going on, bro? Always be chopping up with him on Snapchat. Shout out Dre Day. Shout out Theron Williams. Heard that. Be safe, man. And this Dre Day. He say, be safe. You in the big rig? Oh, we got some truck drivers in the manosphere too. It's good to get this. This is another thing. Like I've never drove over the road. I've drove in my personal vehicle, but you know, I think that's what I want to do this year is tour more of the U.S. because it's a shame that I don't know as much of the United States as I would like to. But yeah, for anybody, look, I'm 32 years old, bro. I've been driving. It'll be 10 years in November because I've been driving trucks since I was 22. So it worked out for me. I enjoy what I do. I've told brothers even when I was doing it, when I first started, I was telling them Jay down on that, you know, because college really wasn't the move for some of us. And you know, it's a good thing now that I see a lot of brothers jumping on the truck driving. A lot of my friends are just now getting into trucking, like almost 5 and 10 years later. So, you know, to each his own. But shout out to all the truck drivers. If anything, look, now I'm gonna be on some bragging shit. We damn near the backbone of the nation. Cause let me tell you, bro, anything in your house, in your place of business, look at everything around you. I guarantee you it's been transported by way of a truck. Tractor trailers, bro. We out here. What's going on, Theron? Yeah, let me know like if y'all got any experiences or any type of observations. Like I said, it don't have to be with Chicago. I just I just wanted to address this real quick. I figured it would be a topic worth discussing. Cause I was just, man, bro, I was just saying that it was a good weekend. I ain't had nothing. I think this shit could be fabricated. I don't know. I do know that sometimes they make these highlighted stories, and the media had their own bias with that too. You know, so like, um, not to take away from children victims or female victims, but they always make sure to distinguish that. They say like, yeah, 1,000 people were shot and one female. It's like, really, nigga? Or they may say, you know, a kid was shot. Everybody's outraged by that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be, but shit, we should be outraged at any type of violence, especially these random numbers. That's you know, none of the actual victims are accounted for. Every story I've read in the news, it's like a large number of people shot or a large number of deaths in a worst case scenario. And they always use like one or two highlighted individuals where they may mention their names or may mention like the age and the location and stuff like that. Emmanuel Johnson asks, why do you think this problem is so prevalent in Chicago? Excuse me. Like I said, it's a number of different factors. The biggest thing, what I want to say is nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? It's ain't no snitching. That's the culture out here. Everybody could have saw some shit go down and nobody gonna say nothing about it. Because either they don't want them problems, you know, and this is the thing with the old people too. You know, I don't want to make it old versus young all the time, but the elders are fucking scared. Part of this is their own upbringing. You got a lot of grandmas and grandpas that's raising the kids for their kids. So a lot of single mothers ain't even really being mothers. A lot of the fucking fathers may not know their fathers or they may not care because you know there's a lot of people out here having kids with dirty dick Rodneys. But to answer your question, yeah, it's a no snitching culture out here. We've been desensitized to these type of numbers. So it's 52 shot this weekend. It could be 72 shot next weekend. It could be 100 shot. You know, between vehicle accidents and homicides, Chicago got like this sick mentality where we actually tally up the numbers annually. Like, I don't know if they still show it on expressways, and I know this was like a safety awareness type of thing, but they used to have on the expressway where they show like how many people died in a car accident per year. And at the end of the year, like you'll look up at the fucking sign on the expressway to see how many people died in a car accident or some type of vehicular accident. It's the same with the murder rates. Like towards the end of the year, people will fucking brag about it being the capital, the murder capital. And if we not the murder capital, um, we'll say, oh, whew, like that's a good thing, which it is, I guess, but it's like it still doesn't help the fact that there's so much violence out here that it's been desensitized. Oh, bro, yeah, CNN, CNN is fake news. The Sun they had a bias. A lot of the original, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of mainstream media are fighting for scraps. You know what I'm saying? They are the political powerheads, and you know that the majority of these news companies are owned by larger companies, which are owned by a smaller percentage of the people. It's a small collective few that run all of these companies, but the mainstream media is at war with alternative media. So channels like this, channels like ABL, shout out Anthony Brian Logan, shout out to shit, I can't even think of that. Alex Jones, you know what I'm saying? Rebel Media out in Canada, they doing their thing. You got a lot of alternative media that are out here on the streets. They're reporting in ways that the traditional mainstream media failed to do. And another thing is like even with individuals, even with people, just regular people, we exposing the news with social media. They can try to paint a picture in one location. They could say like for example, when Hillary Clinton was going on her campaigns, her rallies was not that cracking. G, I've been to 4 Trump rallies, 3 of which when he was running, and 1 of which after he won. All his rallies is busting, bro. All his rallies is a stadium full of people. I used to think he was exaggerating when he said that shit, but no, that was real talk. Like it's always a lot of people at the Trump rallies. The Hillary rallies, I don't really know. I do believe Bernie Sanders probably had he was doing numbers, but the DNC fucked themselves trying to, finesse him out the game in favor of crooked Hillary. But the Hillary rallies, that shit was weak sauce, bro. Wasn't nobody going to them rallies. And what they would do is they would try to like cut off the lights in certain parts of the room or the stadium to make it appear as if it was a big crowd, and they would only shine the lights on the small pockets of people that was there. It's go Google like Hillary Clinton empty rallies and shit. Like you'll see people with their camera phones that's just showing it for what it is. Like, no, this is how the news make it look, but this is how it really looks. And they'll do it on Facebook Live, Instagram Live. Like the mainstream media can't fight live social media. So all they can do is try to censor it or censor like YouTube videos that do more thorough investigations on the rhetoric that they push out to the mainstream media. So the younger people, what I'm seeing is like, a lot of younger people, you got younger liberals that just absorb the fake news. And you got younger free-minded people. They could be anywhere among the political spectrum. You don't have to be conservative. They could be libertarian. They could be kind of, centrist or whatever. But these are people that are saying like, okay, I'm going to look at what the news say, and then I'm going to do my own investigation. And it's so easy to just expose them in real time, So now they have to create this. It's funny, like we call them fake news, but they started calling us fake news. They don't like being called fake news, but they the one that started the whole term. And once it became trending, once Trump started calling CNN fake news, they was all butthurt because they was like, no, we're the only people that could call you fake news. You can't call us fake news. So the shit is funny as hell. But I'm a strong advocate of social media and independent journalism. So shout out to all of the journalists. Shout out to all of the alternative media sources that keep this conversation going. Deron say, yeah, they still do in Georgia, Tennessee. I'm not sure what you were referring to when you talk about Georgia, Tennessee, Colorado. I know this street violence shit. This ain't just a Chicago thing. We've been known for it for the longest, and I think like part of the reason is because the politics is so indifferent towards it. I'm gonna wait around. I'm trying to wait on Theron. Like, let me know what you meant about Georgia and Tennessee. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm gonna probably wrap it up in a few minutes, but hey, shout out SPI Hybrid in the building. He say Trump was talking about sending the feds to Chicago to stop the violence. You think that will work? Yeah, I think he's what. See, this is my thing about Trump. Like, I love the Trump. I love the troll version of Trump. You know, I understand that now that he's in office, he's gonna be a little more astute, a little more, presidential. But I like that troll Trump. He was pissing motherfuckers off, but it was starting the conversation. It was like shifting the social narrative. So in Chicago, they kind of daring him to do that. When he said, "Yeah, I'm sending the fucking troops to," he was really throwing shots at the mayor because between whoever organized, I left Chicago the night that riot happened out here, and then he had to cancel his campaign rally. I was in St. Louis. I got to see him in St. Louis the morning that happened in Chicago because I already knew what it was. I already knew what it was out here. G, like his rally was supposed to be at the USC Pavilion downtown on a leftist college campus. It just started getting warm, and niggas in Chicago get retarded when the weather breaks. And it was a Friday. So like, just putting all them together, I'm like, nah, this ain't gonna work. Who planned this? Whoever planned this, it was a recipe for disaster between maybe his tour coordinators and the city of Chicago. I'm not sure. But the way they shut his shit down, I already kind of had this little sad bet in my mind, like, watch, if he get in office, he gonna get their ass back. Like, he gonna have a grudge against Chicago. Now, whether he carries it out or not, I'm not sure. But I think it will be for, personal reasons. Trump is he's Trump. You know what I'm saying? He ain't perfect, but he was a better choice than Hillary Clinton, in my opinion. But I do know that, he's a big advocate of loyalty and a big advocate of finding a way to get motherfuckers back that crossed him. So I already expect him to pull it with Chicago. I don't know exactly how, but I'm just waiting to see the shit if it happens. Partially because of what went down in Chicago, but then also because of the whole little beef between him and Obama. Now they handled themselves professionally and presidentially and all that shit, but beneath the surface, like if you just look up like what made Trump run for office, it's different theories as to what made him run for office. A lot of people say he's been talking about it. He's been talking it up for the longest. But and more recently, like during the Obama administration, Obama used to clown Trump. He clowned him on a couple of occasions, and Trump was around, so he was just like kind of posted up, like, yeah, all right, watch, y'all motherfuckers better not let me be president. I'm gonna treat all y'all as, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I interpret it. Not saying that's exactly how the man moved, but that's kind of what I think it is. So what better way to embarrass President Obama than to clean up Chicago in a way that he couldn't or didn't, refuse to. Let me put it that way. Now, Obama is out of office. He got his own little thing that he doing out here with the museum. I mean, not the museum, the library, and his own little activist shit that he want to push. It is what it is. But for Trump, if Trump could clean up Chicago, or even if he could threaten to clean up Chicago in a way that Obama couldn't in 8 years, that would be like the ultimate slap in the face to Obama, because it'd be like, damn, fam, you let this dude come in office and clean up your own city. You from here and you couldn't do the shit. And here he comes cleaning it up in a way that you couldn't. Now, this is daydreaming. I don't know if the shit gonna happen or not. I'm just speaking, theoretically. 007 says liberal governments plus mainstream media plus feminism plus Section 8 equals social engineering. Yeah, bro, that equals Chicago. That's exactly what's going on in Chicago right now. So, he don't even have to directly threat Chicago. Honestly, now this is just my personal opinion. I wouldn't even beef with the mayor of Chicago. You know, the mayor is the mayor. Like that's one of Obama buddies too. Um, Chicago got a deeper um, thing going on with the corruption in politics, and that's down in Springfield. That's down, with the Madigan boys and stuff like that, like the dailies and whatnot. So, the way I view. Hold on one second. Yeah, it's deeper than the mayor of Chicago. Like Trump be going back and forth with him, I guess, because the mayor just talking shit. But if you really want to clean up Cook County, it's it's stuff going on in the Capitol. You know what I'm saying? We need to do something about the Speaker of the House here. That's my personal opinion. But SPI Hybrid says I think Trump needs to send Giuliani up there to clean up. Yeah, Giuliani. And you know what? Like that was a big issue too, because when they was talking about having Giuliani in the cabinet, they were saying it was unconstitutional to do the stop and frisk and lock everybody up and stuff like that. But that's a whole nother debate. But supposedly he did clean up New York in a way. Fat Guy says the dailies out of gangsters. Yeah, the dailies, Madigan, like I said, Rahm Emanuel, he got his plug with Obama. He got his plug with I think it's Goldman Sachs or something. One of them big banks. But yeah, all of these big politicians out here, they all affiliated with entities it's just a lot of shit going on out here, bro. So, and that's just the politics alone. That ain't even got nothing to do with the people of Chicago. Like the people of Chicago, they don't want to stop this shit. You know what I'm saying? And part of it I can understand because, let's just say if your cousin or your mans get killed out here, you not hearing none of that stop the violence shit. You like, no, I'm finna go find these niggas. I'm finna handle this because the police ain't finna do shit. The politicians ain't finna do shit after they get in office. So I understand. I even understand the street element of it, but something got to stop. You know what I'm saying? And if we really want to be as altruistic as we pretend to be, then that Black Lives Matter shit got to stop. Like we got to stop having this selective outrage. You know what I'm saying? A lot of niggas, they protest for the wrong reasons or for, situations that ain't even affecting them. The illegal immigrant thing, that ain't affecting the hood. I've tried to tell brothers, like, if you don't care about people being here legally, then you don't really care about your own jobs. Because if the corporations are willing to hire people under the table and pay them less and mistreat them, what makes you think they will hire you when they can hire somebody that they can abuse? Niggas don't really think that far. They don't really care, And they only look at me as, oh, you not on our side. You don't like, you're not protesting with us. Then we at your head. Shout out Brian. He say, I think GS. I don't really know what you mean by that. If you can elaborate on that. Yeah, Chicago is known for like the Italian mafia, the Irish, the Italians and the Irish kind of run shit out here, and you can see that in the police and fire departments and stuff, and the politics. Now I'm actually friends with some Irish and some Italian, so I don't entirely demonize them. They have a very significant role in Chicago, in the culture of Chicago, in the history of Chicago. Like we all, the Polish community, the Latin American community, the Black community. I've studied Chicago history to see where everybody has been the outcast at one point in time. So, I hate to say it this way, but everybody been the nigga at one point in migration to the US or migration to the Midwest, so to speak. But Chicago, I will say it's a beautiful city. I've been here my whole life, so of course I'm gonna say that I love it for what it's worth. But I understand the politics out here too. SPI Hybrid says Black Lives Matter until the black man is the killer. That's exactly what I'm saying. The black on black violence. If you even mention that you a coon or a sellout or some type of house nigga, they don't want you bringing that into the discussion. But that's the reality of it. They only care about police brutality, which oftentimes, it's a lot. Like for example, one dude, this is shorty. He got shot in the back of my grandma crib. Like not in my back of my grandma crib, but the neighbors across the alley from like literally hopped the fence and got shot from where my family stayed. Now, the people who live in that area, it's kind of a mixed group. It's blacks, it's whites, it's some, it's kind of the neighbors that live there, they white, right? So these people, of course, when somebody gets shot out here, they do the memorial thing where they put like the liquor bottles and the balloons and teddy bears and shit. They wanted to put that in front of the yard where Shorty got killed by the police. And so the people who own that property, they was cool with that for a little while. Oh, this one of my guys calling me. I'm gonna call him right back. But yeah, so the people who own this property, they was cool with these people from all over the city coming to mourn the loss of this person who got shot by the cops or whatever. These motherfuckers want to be out there for weeks at a time, bro. Like they just would not leave from in front of the crib. And at some point, the people who own the property, it was like, hey, y'all gonna have to like move that around. Like we mourn with y'all, we let y'all have y'all moment. Could y'all please not do this right here? Like, come on, this is my crib. These Black Lives Matter motherfuckers wanted to threaten the people who own the property because they was like, man, you see, we out here mourning and the police is, they still crying about the police and shit. It's like, no, nigga, y'all in front of somebody's property, bro. And they scared these white people into letting them post up in front of their crib, basically. That shit is uncalled for. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why the community wasn't upset about that. Because, they didn't care because of who the neighbors were. But I'm going to tell you right now, like, if them motherfuckers was in front of my crib, it would have been a problem. It would have been a misunderstanding because I get it. 1 or 2 days, you got to mourn. But come on, G, y'all gotta wrap that shit up or find some other type of way to pay tribute to your lost homie or whatever. And that's part of why the violence goes on. Like, the people in the community are fucking scared. And the people that ain't scared, they just retaliate. There ain't no going through the justice system because that shit don't work. You know what I'm saying? Money gets you justice out here. You gotta have all type of concrete evidence. You gotta get on the right people's nerves just to get them to do their fucking job. So I understand a lot of people, they don't even want to go through the justice system. They just want to get street justice. So that's part of the problem out here too. Yeah, shout out SPI Hire. I know I'm kind of getting off topic. I got to check out that 1 year without women. I've been kind of backtracking on a lot of bro content, but I got a great deal of respect for brother. And I was just listening to the video where he was talking about the SPI thing from the what was it, the MGTOW lost tapes. I was listening to that. I was listening to the whole thing about shit, really just valuing your time over dealing with chicks. That's another topic. We'll talk about it later. But man, shout out to SPI Hybrid. It's always good to have you in the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, man. If y'all got any last words, or I'll just holler at y'all in the chat or holler at y'all in the comment section. But I appreciate y'all for stopping by, man. This is some routine shit out in Chicago. I just thought I would speak on it because it completely threw me off. I was expecting the news to say we had a good weekend in Chicago. So all this drama must have had to go down like literally on Memorial Day. Fat guy says I was born in Chicago on 87 and Stony, went to CVS High School, went to Chicago State. Chicago is a disease for liberal bullshit. Hey, shout out, bro. Like I said, I'm from 73rd Jeffrey. That's like my old stomping grounds. I still be on that side of town, hollering at friends and family and shit. You're right. It used to just be neglect, but now that we got this political activism fueling the whole pro-black narrative, I think they using the plight of black people for their own agenda. Some of the pro-blacks I can rock with. Some of them they've known me. They know me growing up, so I can't like flex like I was never kicking it with them. Like you can look up times when I was on some pro-black shit, but the new age, like some of these younger pro-blacks, I don't know them like that. And a lot of times they not out here really to promote the peace in a way that they say they are. They out here to intimidate and just, release their frustrations on other motherfuckers that ain't even doing shit to them. Yeah, Brian, I did a video on the Black Lives Matter. I don't know about the Chicago branch, but the Black Lives Matter website, they definitely pushing this village narrative, which is some bullshit. They have no regard for the black male or the black father in the household. So you can go on their website right now. Matter of fact, if I got time, I'm gonna try to do this real quick. Then I'm gonna get up out of. Getting all off the topic. So I'm going to the Black Lives Matter website. I did this already. Some of y'all saw this already. And let me see if I can share this screen. But a lot of this feeds into the Chicago narrative too. All these major cities are doing the same thing where they take one victim, whether he was in the wrong or in the right, and they make him the poster boy for all these little protests and shit. Let me see. All right, so y'all should see this Black Lives Matter website. That's what I'm sharing on it. Let me know if y'all see it. They may have changed it. We'll see. We'll find out. All right. So I'm on the Black Lives Matter website. Let's go to guiding principles. This is my problem with Black Lives Matter for anybody that's wondering. We affirm that all Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is an ideological and political intervention in a world where Black lives are systematically and intentionally targeted for demise. It is an affirmation for Black folks' contributions to the society, our humanity, and our resilience in the face of deadly oppression. Y'all can read these on your own time. This is the shit that bothers me. Transgender affirming, that's one. We'll come back to that. This is what bothers me. Black families. Can y'all see that? Okay. Yeah, Black families. We are committed to making our spaces family friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. We are committed to dismantling, listen to this, we are committed to dismantling the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts and require them to mother in private, even as they participate in justice work. When I read that, I read a total disregard for fathers. We're committed to dismantling a patriarchal practice. So they don't really want any type of male leadership in society or in the Black community or in the household. It requires single mothers to work double shifts. What happens to the nuclear family? Like, why are they working these double shifts? Why are they having children? Where's the father? That's the fucking question. In a patriarchal system, supposedly a mother wouldn't even be working to begin with. Now I know that we live in a different economy than like the 50s and shit. So most families do have two parents working in a household. But this whole mothers working double shifts, why are they doing that? I mean, unless you just having babies with dirty dick Rodneys, or you placing yourself in a situation where you having children you can't afford, this wouldn't exist. This wouldn't be an issue. So it's kind of real biased and they real evasive the way they describe the shit. This is another one I don't like. Black villages. We are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family. I'm gonna read that again. We are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family. That's mother, father, and child or children. The structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages. That's socialism. All right, so extended families and villages, that means we have a bunch of fucking kids out of wedlock and we expect all you niggas to take care of other people's bastard kids. Now I'm gonna continue to read on. That collectively care for one another, especially our children. What's all this our shit? What if you don't have kids? To the degree that mothers and parents and children are comfortable. They ain't saying shit about no fathers, bro. They ain't saying nothing about having a father in the household. They're not saying nothing about even male influence. The only resemblance of a family that they are trying to push with this narrative is a village. And all a village is socialism. This is everybody being responsible for the mistakes of a few. Like I said, you can read all these other things. Maybe I'll make a separate video on this because I don't want to get all the way off topic. But come on, Black women, transgenders, unapologetically Black, diversity. black families. What is it? Look at this shit. Like, ain't no mother, father, and child. It's this neutral um, destabilization of the nuclear family. Like, this is bullshit. It has nothing to do with black people being shot in the street. You know, that's what they use to riot. But when you actually get to their website and you look at their donors and you look at their principles, their guiding principles, it has nothing to fucking do with black men being shot in the street. That's the muscle. That's what they use to get black men to push their narrative and get out here and protest, get locked up, take pictures with signs and all that shit. But look, man, I didn't get way off the topic. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here, man. I'm gonna holler at y'all in the comment section. Once again, I appreciate y'all for stopping by. I'm gonna try to do more of these live streams, but I got some scripted content coming up too, because that's a little more organized for me. With these live videos, I'll just be all over the place. But I'm gonna holler at y'all in the comment section, man. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.